Today at Petrochemical Strategies, a Thanksgiving message. It's Thanksgiving Day in the year 2020. Now that was a good Thanksgiving dinner. I've got a few moments left before Thanksgiving officially comes to an end and the L-tryptophan kicks in, but I want to take a few minutes and talk about 2020. The other day I was thinking about the early 2000s when my company and several other companies had what they called Vision 2020, play on words, but I bet you they never saw what happened this year. So as you go down the final stretch of 2020, I want to forget about the bad news, the fake news, the news I never thought I would see and wish I didn't. And I want to thank those that I worked with over the past year and talk a little bit about some of the good things that happened in 2020. I published my first vlog on April 7th, appropriately titled, What in the World Just Happened? With the help of my director, After the Fact David, I was able to publish 2 more blogs before turning my attention to a 3-part series called The New Normal. Part 1 of the series featured Dennis Seith, president of the Founders Club. Dennis talked about how the organization had to pivot once learning that the International Petrochemicals Conference in New Orleans would be canceled, and that the organization had to figure out how to go about presenting the 2020 Petrochemical Heritage Award. The second part of the series featured Kelly Knopp, petrochemical executive and founder of Citroniq Chemicals. We had the chance to talk about his company and his views on the impact of COVID-19 on the industry. The series wrapped up with my conversation with Bob Sittmann, president of Northeastern Chemical Association. We talked about NECA's annual luncheon, which was 7 months away in a city plagued by COVID-19 and the measures NECA was taking to deal with the pandemic. This brought me to the next segment of blogs, which included getting back to work. Here I talk about the challenges working in a 24/7 work environment. This was the hardest day I worked all year. So a lot has changed since filming The New Normal and getting back to work. The good news is that progress is being made on developing a coronavirus vaccine. AstraZeneca and others are working on a vaccine based on an adenovirus vector platform. Adenovirus vectors have been used for things like gene therapy, other vaccines, and for treating cancer. Pfizer and Moderna, they're working on a new synthetic technology called messenger RNA. These vaccines work by introducing an mRNA sequence coded for a specific antigen. Once produced in the body, the antigen is recognized by the immune system and is prepared to fight the real thing. Next, I turn my attention to the US natural gas market in a segment I called We Have Gas. In this segment, I talk about the challenges facing the US natural gas producers in a low crude oil environment. After that, I shifted gears to talk about plastic recycling with Ron Cormier, president of Rock Bottom Enterprise, in a segment I called What Comes Around Goes Around. After that, I got on my bike to track down a pipeline before talking to Ted Cooper, president of Elevate Resources, in a segment called Let It Flow. The next 2 episodes were about joint ventures. I'm so thankful for all of your comments about a tragic love story where I introduced Pat and Chris to the Petrochemical Strategies family. Stay tuned, you might see more Pat and friends in 2021. The series wrapped up with a discussion with Peter Daniel, Senior Managing Director at Ankara, an expert in petrochemical and energy joint ventures. The final interview of the year was with Dave Hovde, founder and principal consultant at HOVCO, in an episode I called Take Me to Your Leader. Dave and I talked about what it took to be a leader at several smaller chemical companies in a highly fragmented market. Earlier this year, I talked about the disconnect between the economy and the stock market. Since I want to talk about good news, let's talk about the stock market. The day before Thanksgiving was really great for stocks. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed over 30,000 points for the second time ever after breaking that mark the day before. The NASDAQ broke through the high it reached on September 2nd to close at 12,094. The same is true for the S&P 500, which closed at 3,630, besting its last high point on September 2nd earlier this year. Thank you to everybody who watched. The winner will be. I successfully predicted the winner of the presidential election by comparing energy and environmental policies and using a special model guaranteed to predict the results a full week before the actual election. I also have to apologize to everybody who experienced a technical glitch at the end of that video. Thank you to everybody who helped out with the first season of Today at Petrochemical Strategies. Thanks to everybody who watched the videos and read the blogs, and thank you if you sent in comments, because they were often very helpful and sometimes pretty amusing, so thanks for that. Stay tuned for my holiday special, which is going to come out on December 24th, and my year-end predictions. I will see you next time.